Can the bacteria in your gut actually predict whether you have an anxiety disorder? In 2018, a team of researchers in China set out to test that question directly. Not in mice this time, but in real patients. They recruited 40 people diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, GID, the clinical kind, not just everyday stress, and compared them to 36 healthy people with no anxiety diagnosis. Everyone's gut bacteria was analyzed and compared. Here's what jumped out immediately. The anxious group had noticeably lower microbial richness and diversity. In plain terms, fewer types of bacteria and a less balanced ecosystem overall compared to the healthy group. But it wasn't just about quantity. It was about which bacteria were missing. The GID patients had significantly less of certain bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, compounds strongly linked to a healthy gut lining and reduced inflammation. At the same time, certain other bacteria, types linked to inflammation, like Escherichia, Shigella, and Fusobacterium, were overgrown. So anxious patients weren't just missing good bacteria. Something else was filling that space instead. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but is this even a solid finding, or a fluke in one small group? The researchers thought of that too, so they ran a second check. They isolated a subgroup, 12 patients who had never taken antidepressants, compared against 22 controls. Medication couldn't be skewing the results here. The same pattern held up. Lower diversity, same missing bacteria, same overgrowth. That's two independent checks pointing to the same signal. But here's where the story gets genuinely surprising. The part that made this study stand out. The team followed a smaller group, 9 of the GAD patients, over time. They measured their gut bacteria while their anxiety was active. Then again, later, once their anxiety had gone into clinical remission. Symptoms gone, or close to it. If the gut bacteria changes were just a side effect of feeling anxious in the moment, you'd expect them to bounce back to normal once the anxiety lifted. They didn't. The altered bacteria, the same dysbiosis seen in the active anxiety group, was still there, even after the anxiety symptoms had resolved. Let that sink in for a second. The mind got better. The gut didn't follow. This suggests the gut microbiome isn't simply reacting to how anxious someone feels on a given day. It may represent something more persistent, a biological state that doesn't automatically reset just because symptoms improve. Now, does this hold up outside one small study? A year later, a separate team in China decided to test that. This team, led by Yihuan Chen, asked a slightly different question. Not just is the microbiome different in anxiety, but does it track with how severe someone's anxiety actually is? And here's the headline number. 25 different bacterial genera differed significantly between the anxious group and healthy controls. But the real twist was in the details. Certain bacteria, including Bacteroides, and again that same Escherichia Shigella from the first study, showed up more in patients with more severe anxiety. The worse the anxiety, the more these bacteria appeared. Flip it around, and the pattern held. Other bacteria, types more common in healthy people, including one called Prevotella, tracked in the opposite direction. More of these, and anxiety tended to be milder. Read that again. This wasn't just anxious versus not anxious. It was a dial, not a switch. We have to be honest about the limits here. Both studies were relatively small, dozens of patients, not thousands. And these are cross-sectional designs. They can show an association. On their own, they can't prove gut bacteria cause anxiety, rather than anxiety changing gut bacteria, or some third factor driving both. The researchers behind both papers were explicit about that themselves. But combined with what we covered in our last episode, the mouse study showing gut bacteria can directly alter brain chemistry through the vagus nerve, these two human studies add something crucial. They show that real diagnosed anxiety disorders in actual patients come with a distinct, measurable, and graded microbial signature. And in at least one case, that signature didn't reverse even when the anxiety did. Researchers are now asking whether the microbiome could become a treatment target in its own right, not just a side effect of anxiety, but a piece of the puzzle worth addressing directly. We don't have that answer yet, but these two studies are a meaningful part of why the question is being taken seriously. This is Curious and Verified, and we're still walking that bridge between gut and brain, one peer-reviewed study at a time. Every number, every finding, traced straight back to the source, linked below, always. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, subscribe. Next episode, we look at what happens to your mood when your diet changes, and how fast.